Noting the time, I'll call the meeting of the Fire Station Building Committee to order. Good evening, everyone. As is our custom, if there are people in our audience here or at home who have a question that is not on the agenda, about something not on the agenda, you may raise that at this time or at the end of the meeting, but not both. You will have 3 minutes to state your question or your comments. And as you may know, we're starting a new procedure, and we're allowing people to ask questions or make comments during the meeting. They have to be relevant to the topic which is being discussed. When that topic comes up, we'll ask the members of our committee to speak first, and then if there are questions either in person or online, we will entertain those. And at that time, we're asking that.
Hold on. If my sound is
Try it again.
okay, go ahead.
We're
Sorry.
asking that you make your point or ask your question within a 2-minute period of time so that we can keep the meeting going. So I guess we'll ask first, is there anybody online or in person who would like to say anything at this point?
And there's no one online raising their hand.
Okay, there's no one online, so we'll get started. The first item on our agenda is the finalization of the context contract. Mike?
So that contract was finalized at your last joint meeting with the select board. You all voted to recommend it based on the proposal that Jeff had sent from Context and the letter of intent that I sent on behalf of the town. So you voted unanimously to approve it or to recommend it to the select board. Select board, who had a majority here, they voted to approve it. So it has been approved. We're just waiting for town council to look at the final document, which is about 125 pages, including the proposal from Context with the proposal from all of the sub-consultants to Context will be included in that contract, as well as the RFQ, and that'll be done. But it is all voted and approved, but once we have that all signed with the town council, we'll upload it on the...
It includes the questions that were asked by others who were bidding on the project? Did those...
Yes, that was in addendum 1 of the RFQ, did include questions that came from all of the respondents. Yes, that was in addendum 1 that Steve Kirby sent out, and that's included in the contract. Yep.
Okay.
Yep, so all that information. So there's no action required, because at this point we have a contract, it is finalized, and as soon as we have it signed from town council, we'll upload it to the website.
Any questions, comments? Okay, that's good. We're happy to have you officially on board.
Yay, thank you.
And they've been officially working on it for several weeks now, and making great progress.
Next item on the agenda is a review of the visioning session that took place here last Thursday. Chris or Jeff? Sure.
So I did put together notes for the visioning session, and they'll be sent around. There's a copy in the file tonight, but a summary of it is that it was very successful. More people, in our position, more people showed up than we thought was going to show up, and I think everybody was really enthusiastic. A lot of very good energy, good questions, and good participation. It was broken up into 3 sections that we each ran: an introduction, a listening session about what do people think when they hear the word Boxborough, and we documented all of that information that was given to us during that session, and it came up with a lot of interesting words. I think that some of them can be directly related to the architecture, and some are just related to the way you feel when you're in town and the welcoming of the community. Then the last session was a bunch of 4 boards that had images on them. Some of them were fire stations, some of them were just buildings, some were just focusing on the shape. and textures,
Anybody hear
colors,
anything?
that sort of thing. And we had people go up, we invited people from the audience to go up and to take a sticky and put a dot on things that they liked. And that was really quite interesting. It really spoke pretty strongly to us about the direction that the town was looking to go in for the new building. Our takeaway from that, from all of this, was really that very impressed with the engagement that the community has towards this project
Yeah,
and
just
also
wanna let you
towards the
know
town in general.
Where there's no sound on,
The residents all
everybody
were
that's
very
remote.
passionate about what the town meant to
Okay,
them.
thanks. Yeah, bye.
Looking forward to the future development of the town. There was a real preference that we heard in small pocket discussions during part one and part two and part three, that there was a real interest in maintaining vernacular architecture in Boxborough, meaning, sort of using examples of styles that you find around town, as well as using local materials and colors that you find in Boxborough. There was a strong interest in using the gabled roof form on the building opposed to other roof forms, so that read pretty clear. In fact, two of the projects that were on one of the boards that had a number of gables had the most dots of any of the other dots, any of the other images. And then then getting down to the fire station interest, there was communicated a desire to make sure that the station would fit on the site well, would be similar in its presence as other municipal buildings in town, and that it would accommodate all the needs of the fire station, the fire department going forward for the next 30 to 50 years. So we found it to be a really, really great, informative session, and we walked away with some good leads.
Yeah, there were a lot of people here engaged.
Yeah.
It was really good.
The other thing I'll say about the session is that from this, we're very happy with the turnout, but we also were thinking forward to Pfeiffer's Day. And while we had a different program set up for Pfeiffer's Day, we thought it probably would make great sense to do a repeat of the visioning session, a mini version for individuals that come to the table. And so we're creating right now a micro version of that allows more people that couldn't come to the original visioning session to participate. And we know that there might be a lot of people that either couldn't come because of other obligations, or just weekends might be a little bit freer, or they just always plan to go to this event and wouldn't otherwise come to the meeting. So we're very happy to change on the fly and make that into a much more informative event. So we expect after Pfeiffer's Day, we'll be able to come to our next building committee meeting and give a more well-rounded feedback for what we heard from the committee or from the community between those two events.
Jeff, I was going to suggest that because I've spoken since our visioning session with quite a few people, and they were like, "Are they going to have the renderings in
okay.
Pfeiffer's Day? We want to see it.
Yep.
We want to at least look at all the different renderings." So
Yep,
I
absolutely.
think that's a good idea.
Definitely.
Glad that you guys are doing that.
And there'll be just so many people. It'll be a totally different crew, right? There'll be
Yeah, I
people who
imagine
go to
there'll be-
Pfeiffer's Day, but not town-type meetings.
Exactly,
Yeah.
yeah. I
So-
imagine
You can
that'll
hear,
be
you
true.
can hear me?
Yep.
Okay,
They can hear us. We can hear them in Zoom, but the Zoom meeting cannot hear anything that we're saying right now. So they're trying to fix that right now.
oh, is that what you're
Steve, I can
Yes.
hear you.
Steve probably should.
So Steve can't hear us.
Steve said he couldn't. I wonder if it's a microphone issue. Can you hear us now?
This one,
I just
they're
got a
on.
text
They
that they
just
can
don't know
hear
if
us.
they're broadcasting to the.
Yeah, they're definitely on.
All right.
Steve, can you hear us?
Have they started the meeting?
Yeah, okay, so.
Oh, gosh.
And I don't know why, are you guys unmuting people?
They can't. So Steve from Vertex is unmuted.
Steve, can you hear us?
I can hear you now.
Great,
So sorry about that.
They
okay.
also aren't broadcasting video to the Zoom meeting.
And they're not getting video?
They're not getting video.
No.
Steve, are you not
No.
getting video?
All we can see is the BXB-TV logo.
Yeah, the Bumblebee.
The NC are here, I guess they
There we
just
go.
started.
There we go.
Okay, now they're able to see it.
Okay. John Markowitz has.
John
his hand
has
up,
his
But
hand
hold
up.
on, hold on. I'm just gonna ask, because I think it's probably to tell us.
Just wait a minute. Is there anybody else like to make a comment about Thursday's visioning session?
Why don't we wait, let me just ask him if he can hear us.
Okay.
That might be,
Okay, did you start the meeting already?
So we're gonna have to do a recap,
Yeah.
because nobody on the Zoom meeting could hear, and I think it'd probably be a good idea
Yeah,
just
probably
to
start from the beginning, I think.
Yeah.
play everything we just did.
Okay.
and, okay, I think we need to can we take a hot second? Because I also can't unmute John.
Oh.
And I'm supposed to be able to do that, so I don't know.
Let's get our,
John, can you hear us?
Oh, now he's unmuted.
I can hear you, I just unmuted myself,
Okay,
I think. I don't know, but you can probably hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Then I'm not unmuted.
everybody, it looks like everybody's a co-host in the meeting, all the public is a co-host. So they should have the ability to unmute themselves.
on my screen, they don't all show us co-hosts.
BXB is the only host.
Matt, can we maybe just pause for a minute? I'm going to talk with them and just make sure
Okay.
that
Please.
Well,
they're just hosts here and
Yep.
Oh, yeah, no, there.
And Mike, you need to be made a co-host as well.
so we're just going to pause the meeting till we get some technicalities ironed out.
But you've started it
I
already?
know. And then we need to be able to,
Yeah, there's gonna have to be a recap.
Okay.
okay, what is Steve Kirby saying?
I was just having a conversation.
Okay, so you can hear us.
And we can hear you now, and we can hear each other that's remote, which we could before.
Okay,
Okay.
So
can
we're just saying that
Turn it up.
I would suggest you do a recap of what was being discussed.
We will do that.
In
And
the
then,
first 10 minutes.
okay, and then John Markowitz, can you hear us?
I can hear you, my hand is up, and I still have a question. I may or may not have a question when I hear the recap.
Okay, all right, that's fine, so we'll just hold off on that. I just didn't know if you were trying to communicate that you couldn't hear us, so. Okay. I so love technology.
Great when it works.
Okay, well. So,
turning it up and I'm trying to turn this up as well.
okay, so John, since you're unmuted, can you say hello so we can hear how loud it is in the room?
Hello?
Try it again, please.
Hello? Hello?
That's better.
Much
Yes.
better, yeah.
That's better. Okay, so we're gonna start again.
Okay.
Oh, now we got the echo.
Yeah, we gotta mute something. I don't know.
I can mute that TV as long as that speaker's working.
Is it still the speaker for Zoom? That's too quiet?
I think,
We can't hear them in the room, but
well, we
but
got 'em-
hopefully we
got
can
it.
now.
We got it. I think we got it.
Okay. So just to confirm, Steve, you can hear us and you can talk to us, right?
That's correct.
I can barely hear
He's
it.
saying but he
The
can't
volume
hear.
for these speakers are in that.
It's in the box over there. Right.
Yeah, sorry, everybody, we're still having audio issues.
Yeah, they always go over there and they adjust the
Cecilia,
volume.
I think it's in this box, the audio.
Yeah. Can we try Zoom again?
Steve, can you talk now?
How is this? Is that?
No, we can't hear him.
Very
You
feeble.
didn't turn the TV out down
I did,
yeah, because of the echo.
yeah.
Do it to 10, that way, just do it.
Try that.
Yeah.
All right, Steve, can you try now?
How is it now?
I can't hear him at all.
This is worse now.
Try that.
Steve, now?
Oh, now there's the echo.
No, there's the echo. And we still can't hear Steve.
Yeah.
Sorry about this.
John, I can hear you.
Mac, once we get all this,
What do you need him to do?
thinking, once we get all this figured out, probably ought to just start the meeting.
Restart it.
Start over?
Restart it with the time instead of noting the time of 7:15
Okay.
and the presence of the company, and just start right from the very
Do you
beginning.
want to just do that now while they're trying to figure this out? Because nobody else from the audience needs to talk
Well,
while they give their recap.
technically, we go right into public session, so what's the point of starting if we can't
Right.
communicate with them?
And they're supposed to be able to,
Yeah.
now the new thing is they're supposed to be able to comment.
They may not have
during the meeting.
contributed because they didn't know we were starting.
No, like he could just give us a recap all over, but.
Do we need to call a recess and come back in 10 minutes or something? Pause the meeting while they figure this out?
Well, we're somewhat paused. I don't want to ask, because, yeah, we'll just wait. Hot second.
So nobody heard?
Nobody
What I said
heard
at the beginning.
anything. So, until
practice.
somebody called
Practice.
Chief, what, did Steve call you?
Yes, Steve
Okay.
called me and asked me to switch everyone out.
And now they can hear us and they can see us, but we can't hear them.
It was a good practice, Chris. Not that you needed it.
Dress rehearsal.
Just play it back.
And Ryan is on now too. So we have to make him a co-host.
So we want you to just design a good audio system in the new firehouse.
Well, we spent a lot of time talking about that last week. This week.
Tuesday.
This week.
We're just gonna, Judy's coming to help us for some reason. Audio's not coming up for Zoom. So, for now, if it's all right to have the Zoom people coming through the TV, Judy, our manager, is coming down to help us fix the problem so that we will be able to hear the people in Zoom.
But if they, so Steve, can you speak now, please?
How is it now?
See,
We still can't hear him even through the TV,
No.
right? Because that's what he's doing, he's turning on the, oh, how about if we,
Can you hear us through Mike's
but it's
laptop?
weird because, hold on.
It's so strange, we can hear him in our room. That's really weird.
Find the audio knob or button.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's turned up as start working.
It must be something on our board, that's turned down, but I'm so sorry about this inconvenience.
Mike, can the minutes not show that I was chairing this meeting?
Good.
They can't hear you or see you, so you're fine.
And that echo is from the TV?
We have video.
Okay,
Yeah,
we
that
got
echo
video.
is from someone's, speaker on in the room.
I actually think it's, I don't think it is, I think it's from the TV, because when Mike turns the TV up, because now there's no echo,
File then. Notice.
So when we.
right? So when
He's
it's
not
down,
here?
there's no
We're not
echo.
supposed to have the
They're in,
TV noises. It's supposed to work.
Foxborough.
but not.
Community outreach.
Oh, just put it in the owner.
Well, nothing is in the owner file.
It should just be.
I know.
Let's move it there.
Yeah, that's fine.
So this is where they originally
Yeah.
placed.
For the fire station or for the select board?
So, fire station.
It was really important. What we
We
did
discussed
last year,
signing
we
up
made
for
sure that the
Piper's
people
Day
we're
while
talking to
we have
actually
been in
knew
session
not.
too.
Yeah.
There's gonna be tons of people trying to see.
I will make the.
I was gonna think-
Gotta make sure they actually.
Yeah.
I was thinking that too. Can't we just say,
That's always.
You did a
been-
great job roping them.
do it more
Yes,
quickly?
and I will
When we-
send.
I will make the sign up all
This
this
time to him.
Well,
Okay.
since I was gonna, I
Yeah.
can share my screen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you doing it from when to when?
What I'm talking about.
Sketches and, you know, that the table.
When are you
So
doing it
I
from
think
when to
everybody
when?
can hear us because we're not muted, guys, we're not muted. Right, we're not muted, so the public can, if we're
Yeah,
gonna,
we can hear you.
because they can hear, which is fine, but if everybody just wants to chat about, just be careful about what you're chatting about. Not that you're chatting about meeting stuff, but even personal stuff, whatever.
We can also put that there's technical difficulties and turn down the mics if you'd love to.
Yes.
We'll do that.
Yeah.
Could you do that? Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna get the meeting started again. So we're
Okay.
gonna mute people on Zoom, and Mac is gonna get the meeting started.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you want to start with noting the time of
Yes.
7:25 in the presence of the quorum?
Are we ready?
Yep.
I turn off
Is our mic on?
So we are starting our meeting over now at 7:25. We had a few technical difficulties, so we're going to start our meeting completely over, and so that everybody in the community can hear the entire meeting. So, as is our custom, anybody in the room or online can ask a question or make a statement either at the beginning of the meeting or at the end for any item that is not on our agenda. That's, we have 3 minutes in order to do that.
John Markwood has his hand up online.
And I'll just finish the other part.
Sure.
Then we have initiated a new procedure that we're trying for the second time. During the meeting, if someone would like to make a comment, either in the room or online, about a specific agenda item to which we are discussing, you may do that after members of our committee have had a chance to speak to it first. Also, Sarah Lovato, who's our clerk, is going to record any questions or comments that are made, and at the beginning of our next meeting, she will repeat those questions and comments and have any response that we are prepared to give. If someone asks a question that we can answer in 15 seconds, we will try to do that. Otherwise, we will make note of them and be prepared to deal with it the following meeting. So, okay, John, thank you for being patient.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, everyone. I just had a quick question. The quick question was, have we purchased the property already? And if we have not, why not? And if we have, will the details be made public?
Okay, Mike, can you answer that?
Yeah, I can answer that. So the closing has not happened yet. We have the draft purchase and sale. The title on the property is rather complicated, and we're working with the property owner who also had some difficulty navigating the title process when they purchased the property a couple of years ago. So the property probably won't close until late July, but we're still on track. We don't see, there are no roadblocks or no red flags that we won't be purchasing the property. It's just a very complicated title process. Again, like I said, same difficult process that the current owner went through when they purchased it a number of years ago.
Okay, and Mike, have we validated that Sarah's Way actually has access to Mass 111?
It does. So the bottom of Sarah's Way is joint access, and that's one of the things that our attorneys is working on, is making sure that we have permissions to use as well as maintain and update as needed that bottom end of Sarah's Way. The top of Sarah's Way, where it goes up to the 3 residential properties, has nothing to do with us, but the bottom of Sarah's Way will have joint access right onto Route 111.
And you've actually seen the approval from MassDOT for access for Sarah's Way?
I have not.
I would recommend you make sure you have that based on my past history on the planning board and what was presented years ago.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, John. We've made note of that, and we'll follow up on it.
Thank you.
Anybody else want a hand up?
No, nobody else has their hand up.
Okay, so next on our agenda is a review of the public visioning session that was held here last Thursday night. So, Chris Logan.
Thank you, Matt. We had a very successful visioning session last week, very well attended. We had 3 activities that we ran. The first one was just introduction as to why we're having a visioning session, purpose behind a visioning session, which is to gather information from the community on their notion of what they would like to see as a future development in Boxborough. The second part was collecting words from the attendees that described Boxborough to them. And the whole range, some were, talking about living here, the quality of the town, the energy of the people, and then some of them get into a little more detail about the future development of the site. All of that information was gathered together, and it fostered a lot of discussions. Some of the descriptions were similar to others, so we're able to see that there were some very similar threads running through that event. And then the third activity was a series of visioning boards that we had put together. Some of them had images of Boxborough, others were images of fire stations. There's a board of images of different materials and different types of roof forms and building forms. Out of that came a interactive session where we asked the participants to take a sheet of sticky dots that we had handed out and to go around and put their dots on the images that they liked. And that actually was quite interactive, a lot of conversations, discussions, questions, resulted in clear direction to us as to what the community in front of us was really thinking about as far as the future of the new fire station building and what was important to them in the town of Boxborough. We have compiled that information, put it into a note form that will be available as part of the project record. But our takeaway was that the town, Boxborough, is a very engaged community. The residents are very passionate about the town and the future of the town. There was a preference, you could tell from the image session that there was.
Are you trying to share?
Yeah, I was trying to share, and it was taking a while to kind of pop up. But
There we go.
Here we go. Here are the boards that the visioning boards with the different images, and this is after the session, so you can see all the dots that have been populated on the images that were most attractive to a lot of the members in the group. So the direction that we took away from this was that the interest was really looking at structures that were more vernacular to the town of Boxborough, meaning that it similar in shape, size, material, siting as what is in town, and that the style of the buildings was more traditional, New England style, gabled roofs, and that was also, a good takeaway for us. A lot of local materials were more attractive than some of the more, I'd say, contemporary materials that we had on some of the boards. And then lastly, there was a lot of interest in just the type of building the fire station will become. And there was discussion about natural light, discussion of sustainability. But most importantly, I think the interest is making sure that this new building fits the site well, really is resonant like other municipal buildings in town, and it has a real presence, such as the other municipal buildings have, and also a real desire and need to make sure that it is designed to accommodate the present and future needs of the fire department.
It really is very distinctive, like what people like.
Yes.
And what they don't like. Free is one little dot on the contemporary stuff.
Contemporary.
Chrome and glass.
Jeff, did you want to mention the
yeah,
follow-up?
I'll say what I said before, which is one of the takeaways from this session was that we thought doing the visioning exercise was really successful, and for Pfeiffer's Day, we were proposing to change the program a little bit and add a mini version of the visioning session so that residents who might not have had the opportunity to come to the visioning session in a weekday evening and might otherwise go to Fireproof Day have the ability to feedback and weigh in on the same type of exercise. So we're going to reformat just to tweak it a little bit so it's better suited for Fireproof Day, but essentially the same type of exercise will happen on that Saturday. We'll walk people through it, and we'll collect those responses as well, so that the following committee meeting, which is 2 weeks from today, we'll be able to report out not only what you heard from Chris today for the one group, we'll also be able to comment on what we heard on Pfeiffer's Day and get a broader picture of the whole community.
That would be good. Any other comments? All right, so it's starting to take shape. So the next thing on the agenda is to talk about the actual program, and I know you've spent time with the chief and others
Yes.
To talk about that. And you could
Yes.
fill us in where you're at there.
Okay, thanks, Mac. I met with the chief on Tuesday of this week. We went back to the document that we had put together a week or so ago of all the spaces in the fire station and the occupancy of the station as far as their current and future and daytime and nighttime. Made a few adjustments. What the schedule had not included previously was any accommodations for emergency event staffing. So we added a horizontal line item for that. Essentially what it does, it means that there would, during the course of an emergency, no matter what season you're in, if they have to bring on-call firefighters, we wanted to accommodate those in the station. So we're showing an add of 2 during the day and an add of 2 at night for both the current and the future duration of the station. That increased the bedroom size, the number of bedrooms in the station, to a total of 7. So in paper form, it, yes, increased the square footage, but you'll see tonight when we show you the concept designs, which are a little further developed, we're able to accommodate that increase without really having it increase the square footage of the building. So we're working hard to make sure that we keep to the 20,000 square foot cap.
And just to be clear, we are planning the station for the future. So having 7 bedrooms doesn't mean all of a sudden the department's going to go out and hire all the people to fill the rooms, but we want to make sure it has the capacity to handle that.
Right. The other modification we made is just making sure that all of the bedrooms that could potentially hold a cot in the event of an emergency that required more than 2 additional staff members, that those bedrooms are outfitted to that size to meet with the NFPA requirements, who have done that as well. Again, we're able to do that without really affecting the square footage. And the other change in the, it's not really a change, but it's really a development, because this is really what we do, is just making sure that all our spaces can accommodate what they are needed to perform the way they're supposed to perform. Found that the medical triage room was not sized appropriately to be able to get a stretcher in there without moving the person who's already in there and being treated. So we increased the size of that room slightly to allow a stretcher to be pushed into that room and transfer the person from where they are to the stretcher and then out to the ambulance without having to do a lot of gymnastics. And those are the changes. So it's a really good session. I have the final document ready to go. Chief will be sending it out tomorrow.
There was some thought about getting the triage room close to the entrance and close to the epic.
Yes, you'll see in the schemes tonight, there are 4 schemes we're going to be presenting. One is a variation on another, so it's really 3 basic schemes. 2 of them have the triage off the lobby and connecting right to the apparatus. So
Just so everyone, I want to tell you about Chris and how hard he's been working with me on this. Our first meeting at the firehouse was 5 hours. Our second meeting, another 3 hours. So this, and aside from his travel time, and so he's put a lot of time into coming out to me and sitting down and discussing this, and has put a lot of work in. So I just want to let everyone know how thankful I am for him coming out and giving it the time that it deserves. So, Chris, thank you.
You're welcome. It's really important, actually, to get the program right. We use this with all our consultants, and we took the time this week, to review AV needs in the various parts of the station that will have AV, and that information then goes to our technology engineers as well as the AV consultants. So it really sets the standard for
To
what
follow up from our conversation too, I've already spoke to Judy as well to let her know that we're going to be passing on her information to bring them into the fold and how that room could be, a multi-use room,
Yep.
and they would be able to broadcast from it.
Yep. That's great.
Any comments? Yeah. Okay. Yes, thank you, Chris. So you have some pictures to show us?
We do.
We're gonna go into the designs now?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Give me a second.
Yep, sorry. Get option 1, alternate A.
It's on the screen.
Yep. I can read it better. It's on the screen yet.
I'm not broadcasting it.
Is there a lag?
Okay. What about that?
Okay.
Yes, there you go.
There it is.
Yeah.
So one of the things I heard from a few people during the visioning when, and I don't know when they saw these pictures, is they like the fires parking behind the building. Maybe that was one of the boards that was outside, out in the hall or something. And that was a big thing for people. So, I'm sorry, didn't mean to interrupt, but go
No,
ahead.
that's fine. I laughed a little bit because that was the board we put out in the hall to get people excited when they came in.
They were more excited about that board.
And there are people who took the little dots out there and put them on
Yeah.
some of the concept plans, which I thought was really sort of cute. But all right, so as I said earlier tonight, there are 4 schemes that we'll be looking at. One is a variation of another one, so it's very similar. First one in front of you is a 1-story administration, fire department portion of the building next to the apparatus bay. That portion faces Mass Avenue. This scheme has all of the traffic coming off of Sarah's Way, so fire apparatus leaving the station, returning to the station, goes into Sarah's Way, then out to Mass Ave, and the parking for the firefighters and the public is also off Sarah's Way. So this heavily uses Sarah's Way, which would require reconstructing Sarah's Way for the apparatus, at least because of the weight and the turning radius. It's a gable roof apparatus with a sort of cross gable admin portion to the building. Next sheet shows the plan, and the apparatus room is parallel to Mass Ave, so you're coming out parallel to Mass Ave and turning 90 degrees to get to Mass Ave. It is a drive-through apparatus, however, the side facing Sarah's Way is first response, the side facing the back is second response. Where each of the schemes will see that there's a designated training area off of the apparatus rear paved portion of the building, and then there is adequate parking for the training room as well. This plan is the only plan that actually has a length of travel from the lobby to the triage room. So you'll see in the other schemes that connection is a little stronger. As you enter the building in the admin portion, meaning that all the offices are to your left, the fire department and public training room is to the right, and then the fire department living quarters are further to the right of that. And they're perpendicular to Mass Ave. All the support spaces are on either side of the apparatus room.
So kind of based on this, the public doesn't really need to move beyond that the right side of the lobby, unless you're doing the training, but like either the right or if they're going in the training room.
Right.
Or triage, but that's a whole different.
Yeah, that'll be true for pretty much all the options. We want to constrain the public to just coming into the lobby, have one option of the training room, order triage, and then conduct your business. You go maybe into the fire administration, but pretty much you're capped there. The rest of it's fire business only.
Right. The captain's office is captain/fire prevention. So that would really be the only room within the fire administration office suite that would have the public in it. There's a conference room there as well, which would be used by the fire prevention officer to review plans with the applicant. The next site plan is just showing a variation on this building design, but taking the fire department living quarters and public and putting it on the back side. So now instead of coming up Sarah's Way and your first turn would be into the visitor parking, you'd come past the apparatus, your next turn would be into the visitor parking. So this places the apparatus closer to Mass Ave. Again, it's parallel, so your first response is on Sarah's Way side, heading out to Sarah's Way. Second response is on the back side, looping around the apparatus to Sarah's Way. So it's just a flip of the previous scheme.
Chief, is that an advantage? Is that, do you like the apparatus bay being closer to the 111, or does it matter?
I think the apparatus bay is going to be the most recognizable part of the station, so there's a good chance that people driving down Mass Ave are going to, that's going to stand out and they're going to see it. Obviously, we'd have signage, but I can't say that it's quicker that we're going to be out off the ramp and to Mass Ave, but I can't imagine that we're going to have a lot of opposing traffic where we'd want to have a little bit more notice. So I guess there'd be pros and cons, but I can't see anything that would be a huge red flag to me on that at all. This is option 2 on this on the single stories.
It's option 1B.
Oh, 1B.
Yeah, it's.
If I'm not mistaken, this is actually this one and the next one are the two that I actually favor. I like these two a lot. So.
And then the public
Wait,
parking.
just a minute. Alan?
Does this one make more sense, Chief, because the apparatus bay is closer to 111? So if there's an activity going on, say in the training room or shift change, the apparatus can easily leave the site without having to worry about intermediate traffic of non-fire related traffic.
Right. I mean, but Alan, you could go to the flip side of it is that they're trying to leave the station as that traffic's coming in for an event at night, right? It's going to happen either way, but it's a valid point. It's just I think that no matter where it is, you're going to run the risk of it some way, some shape or form.
Well, this also gives the non-apparatus bay more privacy from the road. If there's any concern about road noise or lights that might disturb, the sleeping of the sleeping quarters, it's to the back of the site.
Well, it moves the trucks and the sounds of the trucks further away from the neighborhood that would be on the other side of it. Exactly. So yeah, that is a definite bonus to it.
Maria?
And the parking in this one for the firefighters is in front, and
It's currently shown in front, but it doesn't actually have to be there. We can move that around closer to the back parking if desirable. In fact, that gets the firefighters a little closer to the firefighter quarters, which would be desirable.
and then public parking has just kind of been moved to the backside.
Yeah, it starts out at the front, but of course with the training room, there's enough parking to be able to fill that up. So it could stretch around to the back on a meeting day.
I don't know, that turn to me looks like a hairpin turn, but like what?
Coming out of the station to make the U-turn, basically.
If you're coming out of the back of the bay, and you gotta come around this way.
Yeah, it's not engineered yet. We actually receive the turning radius diagrams from the manufacturers of the apparatus. Civil engineers put that into their system and then they lay it out. This is just a
diagram.
diagram.
But it's true that possibly that first outermost bay might end up being small wheelbase vehicles there to make a tighter turn.
Okay, Alan.
This layout might also be more sensitive to the business that's right across Sarah's Way. That I don't know how much traffic goes in and out of that business, but if the public entrance were more forward, there might be more of a confusion as to where the public should park. They might end up in that guy's driveway, as opposed to going past his driveway and pulling in to the back of the station where they belong. I don't know how much traffic that business actually gets.
I don't think, I think a lot of that, the business is online.
Oh,
And much of it is by appointment. But I think I've talked to Mark about his business model, a good percentage of his business is online.
I think most of the traffic to that business are the trucks, the employees, the staff doing the work in the business.
Alan, I think you're going to find the opposite's going to happen is that without proper signage and direction, what's going to end up really happening is our people are going to pull in and moth to the flame are going to park right in front of the apparatus is really what's going to end up happening. But, whether it's asked for directions or it's a walk-in medical or what have you, but that's more than likely the scenario as opposed to parking across the street at the business.
That would be my biggest concern for this, where the apparatus bay is the first curb cut you hit. If you have an emergency and you're, for whatever reason, driving yourself to the fire department to get care, you don't really care where you're putting your vehicle as long as you get to the firefighters as fast as possible. So you're probably going to drive and park your car right in front of the apparatus bays, which of course prevents them from driving the ambulance out to help you. So it is a concern, and it's historically been a challenge for fire station design to try to avoid that scenario as much as possible.
My recollection when we were looking at sites, that we were concerned about 750 Mass Ave because we had to have a two-way street. There could not be a separate entrance for passenger cars, as I recall. That's one of the reasons that we didn't like that site.
It was a lot more constrained. I thought it was a lot more constrained, though. I didn't think it
was much more constrained.
It was much more constrained than this is.
Yeah, technically, in this site plan is different from that one. There's no sharing of the driveways. They're truly segregated, other than Sarah's Way. It's just a matter of the first place the public would arrive at is the apron. Which, if you go back to the site plan that we showed at the beginning, this, the original layout, you come to the public parking area first and the apron in the back. And so it's really just a reversal of the two. This would be a more traditional layout, get people the public off the street, but the apparatus is a longer ways away from Mass Ave. And you don't get the visual significance of driving along 111 and seeing the bays and knowing that's the fire station. There's no icon to look at.
I think this is more aesthetic, though, from driving by, looking at a gabled building, perhaps, that is closest to the street.
Yep. So we have a few more we want to go through.
So the plan, so this is the plan for the one we just looked at, with the firefighter admin and living quarters on the backside and the apparatus facing parallel to Mass Ave. So the entrance to this scheme is different. It's tucked in the nook between the building and the apparatus, so it has a tighter lobby, very tight circulation. This is the one, Chief, that has the triage right off of the lobby and then right into the station. So unlike the other one, there isn't a long passage to get to triage. The complication here is the site layout would be such that your visitor parking for the station would be literally adjacent to the apron for the apparatus. So to the point that we are providing parking for the public there, but in emergency, they'll just probably leave their car in the street.
So if this was the preferred option, we'd need to spend a little bit more time really decoupling some of that site traffic and making sure we can signal the entry in a place that's really obviously not the apron. So things might have to be tweaked.
So another nice piece aspect of this plan is, if you zoom in a little bit, Jeff, if you follow that passage from the lobby back to the residential quarters, that would be the firefighter entry would be on the back side of the building. So you're coming right into the residential quarters, and then you proceed further into the admin section. So that section where the admin is could be zoned off, and secured in the weekends and evenings. It also has a per diem locker right after you come into the building. So your per diem individuals would be coming in, they can go to their lockers, and I mean, after a call, they can come in through the apparatus, get them washed down, and then go right into their locker room where their clothes is. So it has a nice flow for the per diem individuals, as well as a good flow for the career firefighters.
And it also works in reverse when they're done for the day or done, they can
Right.
go out without having to walk through the entire facility.
Exactly. All right, the next scheme is, again, a one-story scheme, but this is rotating the apparatus so that now you're perpendicular to Mass Ave. You have direct feed from the building to Mass Ave for your first response vehicles. Your second response vehicles leave the back of the apparatus and go out to Sarah's Way and around to Mass Ave. This is placing the apparatus, the larger structure, closer to the corner, so it's a very recognizable part of the building that anchors the site, and it has a one-story admin and residential quarters in the back. It has a separate parking lot beyond the apparatus drive that's shared between the public and the firefighter parking. It's a little bit more complicated because you have to drive through the firefighter parking to get to the public entry of the building, which is facing west.
It would seem that one of the issues there is we would be paying for the curb cut directly onto 111, and you would be paying for upgrading Sarah's Way.
That's right. So you,
Yeah, we think there are three variations. The one you've seen previously, which is using Sarah's Way entirely, this variation, which uses both, and then a variation which only uses Mass Ave. And just in rough order of magnitudes, we think that this one is going to be the most expensive because you have two roadways to
Right.
and do the curb cut and improve the pavement on versus just one. We don't yet have cost data information to really give you more feedback on that in terms of whether just going out to Mass Ave is the same or more or less costly than just going out to Sarah's Way, but definitely doing both is going to be more expensive.
Do we have information about Sarah's Way and how that was constructed?
We don't have specifics, but we have anecdotal information just by visiting the site, knowing that it's clear the base wasn't prepped properly for heavier apparatus, and that would have to be completely redone if that was an apparatus emergency, everyday emergency driveway. For passenger vehicle traffic, maybe there's less that would have to be done to it. That hasn't been engineered yet. We don't have any real proposals yet, but in its current state, it wouldn't support apparatus running.
We know that access directly onto Mass Ave, this is just a 2D drawing, but we know that there's quite a bit of topography to come down, so there's going to be some excavation and possible blasting to get from the station down onto Mass Ave. So that's part of the cost of looking at some of these options.
right, we did have a conversation with our civil engineer, and they did review the planning board submission for the new development across the street, and they talked about that with their Mass DOT engineers who do all the applications. Mass DOT is most receptive to new curb cuts if they're located near other curb cuts, so that you don't get into double signals if you need to have signals. So their statement to us, if we are thinking about connecting to Mass Ave, we should really try to coordinate it with the exact location of the other curb cut across the street. I went to the site after our meeting, Chief, and looked at where these, where we possibly could cut into the building, and you're absolutely right, as you really get to the end of the small house that's there, the embankment on the south side of Mass Ave starts to really grow, and also the road really begins to take a dip. So I think there is a period of space that we could look at for an entrance, but would like not to have to look at retaining walls that run perpendicular to Mass Ave to get out to the street.
So one of the challenges with this scenario, this option that's on the screen, is that the entry, public entry, is behind the building. You can't see it from the street.
That, with this, and I know I said this, the functionality of the programming, when you get to that, I really like that. I see some drawbacks with this, with specifically your point right there, because from Mass Ave, they're just gonna see the apparatus bay entrance, right? And then if they do get onto Sarah's Way, the very first entrance they're gonna have is to the backside of the apparatus bay. And it'd be really difficult for people who had never been there before to try to figure out where do they go to get to the
drive
front.
around your apparatus.
Right? Yeah, so this one, it just seems a little bit, if this were switched where the admin living section were to the other side of the building, which there's obviously not enough space there, I think it would be a little bit more manageable, but it's just, this one seems like it would just pose a lot of problems.
That's where the entrance to 975 across the street starts to hamper things, because in order to make that work, we looked at that, you'd have to slide the apparatus bay further to the west, which
Now you're
complicates
away
the
from
street
curb cut,
entrance
yeah.
and gets us into more elevation and topography, so we kind of tried to figure out, was there another way to do it?
Is there any concern with this scheme about how you would manage the stormwater runoff? Because they wouldn't let you put it onto 111, right?
In any
You've got
scenario,
quite an
we would
incline.
have our own drainage on site.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be able to drain it off to Mass Ave.
Same with the snow melt.
Yep.
And every time the snowplow goes by, they're plowed in again, that entire width of that paved area, not just the Sarah's Way width.
If we ever wanted an entrance onto 111, we would always have to upgrade Sarah's Way and 111, right? This isn't just specific to this scheme. It's like
Well,
if
we do
ever
have,
wanted to do it.
we have developed a scheme, Sarah, that does, that may not, well,
I'm just gonna go to
yeah, we don't have it on the slide, but, slide deck. We don't know really how Sarah's Way was built. However, we do have a scheme we haven't presented tonight that we're looking at only having the visitor parking off of Sarah's Way and the firefighter parking off of Sarah's Way, and all apparatus leaving and returning to the station would be off Mass Ave. So you're removing all the heavy, vehicles from Sarah's Way.
I wanted to go to this one mainly because it gets at the point that I was just making about, if you did the entrance in the public and staff side of the building to the right or the east side of the apparatus bay, this is how it shifts the curb cut down the street from 975.
Yeah, you can see it dotted in there. It's
And
no
that-
longer are you
and
across one
DOT,
another.
Mass DOT doesn't want that.
It's not that they don't want it, it's a little harder
We
of an
suspect,
application.
we haven't talked to them yet, but the expectation is that's going to be less favorably received, and we'd have more to do with them in terms of how to make that work correctly, and whether we'd have to do special things on there.
Which is interesting, because the planning board was determined to move it off of being in front of Sarah's Way. That, they spent months debating that with the owners. And
Yeah,
now
and I
they
think
have it there.
that the DOT is more from a signalization perspective. While I do think they like to align the geometries, they also are thinking, I think that the engineers in the civil engineering office are thinking, there's a potential likelihood that this will be a signal, that DOT will tell us we have to signalize for the fire department and enter onto Mass Ave, in which case they don't want to have signals here and then a curb cut cutting into the intersection that's kind of nearby but not really in it, because it causes confusion. So I think the idea is if you're going to signalize it, you kind of need to align the geometries better. But if it's not signalized, I think there's more leeway.
So, but Chief, did you say that the one we were just looking at, we didn't get into the details, you like that programming better?
I like
The
the
one
layout
before
of,
this?
yeah,
Because we didn't look
Right.
at that.
This is the site plan for it.
Right.
and
Right.
Then this is
So-
the floor plan.
I thought and
What
I
was
like
it
the
about this that
I
you
like the
liked?
separation, I like the proximity of the, like, if you see where you come into the vestibule and the lobby, and the triage room's right there, right? So it's gonna minimize, for the amount of walk-in medicals that we have, it's gonna minimize the potential for the cross-contamination of someone coming in and just, being sick all over the station. It's just, they're gonna go right in and go right into where they need to be treated, and then be able to be put out right back into the ambulance. You come in and the first thing you're met by is all of the offices that you're gonna have to do the work at, and then this, like I said before, the separation of the firefighters' living quarters, I like the layout of it. I think it flows well. I think where the rooms and the storage rooms were placed, it minimizes the amount of having to lug things across the building, and it makes things just a lot more streamlined and efficient for them when they go to do the different functions, the different trainings that they do throughout the course of the day.
Okay.
Jeff, I have a question about the signalization. Since the feedback we've gotten so far from the traffic engineers has not indicated that we need a signal there, do we think that that's maybe a long shot with Mass DOT that, and I understand we want to grease the skids as much as possible with anything we've got to do with Mass DOT, but do we still think there's a low chance we're going to need any signal there?
Well, the same engineering company that did the earlier study is looking at it, and you know, their initial study was that there wasn't any warrant to putting the signals there, but DOT is going to have us do this traffic study, and they're going to tell us what they want.
Okay.
So it's a little bit of predicting the future.
Sure.
And I think the engineers are just being cautious about if you do a site plan exercise, maybe if you try to align everything, now you're not having to revise everything all over again if there's a judgment that really signals are needed. We're not having to rip the plan up and redo everything.
Okay.
So I don't think it's a outright statement that we're going to need it. I think they just want us to design prudently.
Understood. Yeah, that makes sense.
And you can propose, you have to get their approval for the curb cut. So you can propose other ways of dealing with the traffic, whether it's advanced warning, signage, flashing lights opposed to a signal. So there's a number of things we can look at and have the engineers give us advice on that, look at sight lines, look at distance between entrances, as a way to really design it for safety, because that's really what you're designing it for, right? That people know that they have to slow down and then they have to stop. And the fire engine is exiting or entering.
Okay, thank you.
If you had that outline, does it have to be a direct shot out to 111? Could there be an angle to get closer to the opposite?
Well, from the
975?
firefighter's perspective, driving the truck, it's really important to be able to see what's coming at you and where you're headed. So if you take the building and angle it towards the road, eventually the truck wants to hit it perpendicular. And so the more you've got to turn, the less time you're going to have to see what's in front of you. So I wouldn't say it's impossible, it just makes things more complicated, and it makes the operation more complicated and more challenging. Given the geometry here, like in this particular diagram, I think it would be very difficult to skew the driveway enough to bring it over to 975, because that's a long distance, and you need enough room to also turn the trucks around and back into the bays, so you kind of have to have like 60, 80 feet in front of the bay to do that, and now you're telling them to turn in the last 30 feet before they hit Mass Ave to make the skew over there, and it's going to be really challenging. So while I think we could do it, and it might actually turn out to be an interesting placement of the building, sort of not parallel to the road, but sort of angled to the road, I would want to make sure we have enough setback so that the driveway out gives the driver enough time to see where they're headed to.
Yeah. That's also where Mass Ave really begins to dip down quickly. So you don't really have a good view of the oncoming cars if they're driving at a pretty good clip.
Yeah, I want to go back to the first one. I'm sorry for flipping so quickly here, but the first one we showed, this version of it here. That's also one of the drawbacks, is that you don't have a lot of time as the driver of the engine to really react to what's on Mass Ave, because you're coming out of the station, turning an immediate left on Sarah's Way, and then you have a very short distance before you're already on 111. So it's a challenge of this one. It's an operational challenge.
It's also really the drivers on 111 having that,
And they don't see it.
Yeah, exactly.
They don't see the truck.
They're not going to see the
until
truck
it's
until
already
it's right on top, whereas
Right.
if they were coming out a little bit further out, some of the signaling devices that we have might be picked up a lot sooner. Because we're going out onto a road where people, we're going to be coming out of a slower road onto a road that's, people are traveling
Much
at a
faster.
fairly decent rate of speed,
Right.
so.
Probably not the speed limit.
Probably not.
So I think flashing warning lights that were tied to your alerting system would probably be prudent. You know, depending, I think since all of 111 is controlled by Mass DOT, we have to get approval from them for those as well. But we have done that in other stations in lieu of a light. Just have a couple flashing signals each direction where their sight lines become a bit of a challenge.
Okay.
It's,
Yeah.
and again, that's just a flash. It's not like a red light to stop traffic because
No,
they're coming, just so
it's
people
funny,
aren't
it's
confused by that
yeah.
theory. Like, it's just the trucks are coming out, so a light starts flashing to give people a heads up that
Yeah.
the trucks are gonna be making its way into the intersection
Right,
soon.
you know,
Yeah.
300,
Very
400
different
feet
than-
beyond where the apparatus apron is.
What triggers that light?
What triggers it is tied into the alerting system. So when a call comes into the station, the fire alarm alerting system goes off and informs the station and all the crew where they have to go. And you can have an antenna in the apparatus that then will connect to these warning lights and it'll start flashing.
I see. I want to make sure that it doesn't go off because there's traffic heading toward 111, and that
No.
means every time a resident comes down, the light comes on.
They see the flag, yeah, they get used to it and they keep driving.
It's very apparatus
Yeah,
specific.
it's directly driven by the,
It's only when there's a call. They're not,
Yeah.
even if they're just driving out, you know, to go to the store to pick up groceries or something, it's not gonna go off.
Right.
yeah. Did you do the site plan already?
Oh, we talked about it.
Yeah, okay. So this is now heading into the two-story designs. This is, again, the apparatus is direct access, can be direct access to Mass Avenue, or you come out, turn a 90, and go out to Sarah's Way. You have public visitor parking off of Sarah's Way. Entrance to the building comes into a lobby. It's more L-shaped. Go into triage. There's a little sort of terracotta box that's off the lobby. That's the triage room with a direct corridor right into the apparatus. So it's not as close as the other schemes, but it is off the lobby. All your admin suite is to the north. Your firefighters' living quarters are on the second floor. Your per diem lockers and the fitness are on the first floor on the back side where the firefighter entrance is. So firefighters come in, they can get to fitness and go right up into the residential quarters. The day room, kitchen, dining is right above that back side of the second floor, and the dormitory and support spaces are on the other side. The training room is sort of protrudes out from the front of the building.
So obviously a two-story building is gonna be a taller form, so looking at the site plan and how this relates to Mass Ave, you have a balanced approach where you have a larger height apparatus bay next to a two-story element. Nothing's hidden, pretty balanced in terms of massing on the front of the building. But you also have stairs and an elevator that you don't have in a one-story building.
And how do you feel about the two-story building?
I would prefer a single story, but if it has to be 2 stories, then so be it. I mean, we'll make do. Just because when the alerts and tones go off, like I said, making their, depending on the type of call, making their way up and downstairs or having to bring equipment up and downstairs, it just leads to more potential injuries. So I've worked in 2-story buildings before, and it's not horrible, but it's just not preferable. That's all.
Well, when we're in the stage where we're looking at both, so.
Right. If
that's
it could stay single story, if it can stay where we need it square footage wise, have the functionality of the programming, then I'm all for a single story, as long as it can meet what we feel like it needs to meet.
And both the previous one and this one, there's drive-through on both these buildings, right?
Correct.
Just
Yes.
All the
drive-through into a
options-
parking lot.
All the options have dual access,
Okay,
front and back.
dual access, that's what
Yeah,
I'm
that,
looking for.
this one in particular, this is a new option that we haven't started talking about yet, but it does have the rear egress from the apparatus bay, the response goes through the parking lot, so it starts to rein in some site costs because you're not building as much asphalt and paved areas, but it has the drawback of that response having to drive through a parking lot instead of a dedicated emergency driveway.
Which was one of our concerns with the
Right.
502 and 750, so I mean, we were kind of.
It's not that primary response, but it potentially might be a heavily used response depending on what pieces of apparatus they need to get out.
So this scheme is sort of the genesis for the scheme working on the office now. If you can imagine the rear parking lot that has a curve that goes around the west side of the building, if that looped back to the apparatus drive, you could say that the first response and the second response always go out to Mass Avenue. And that would mean that you would not be driving through the firefighter public parking lot to get to Sarah's Way to get out to the
Yeah,
building.
you might be going through parking that has only firefighters' vehicles there, which is a more tenable scenario. But you wouldn't have to upgrade Sarah's Way for apparatus, daily apparatus trips.
One of the firehouses we visited, the chief said, it's not a firehouse unless there's a pole.
I was
So
just
the-
gonna make that joke, Mac. I was gonna say, really honestly, the hardest time I'm having with this is, I'm still a little bit old school when it comes to things. 2 stories and no fire pole, what are we doing? Come on, it needs to be there.
I saw they have a hose tower and a stairway, though.
That's,
Yeah. And we can put a
feel a
pole
little
in.
bit better about it, but still,
Yeah.
fire, you need the pole.
So where's the entrance in this one? The public entrance is in this weird little.
It's in the back.
It's in the back. On this scheme, it's in the back. The other scheme we just looked at is on Sarah's Way.
Yeah, if I'll flip back one, you can see that it's on the side for the Sarah's
Right,
Way.
okay.
And
That's a
then,
2-story.
yeah, and then this one's also a 2-story, it's on the back, although
It could be on this
admittedly,
side.
we can put it on the side or even potentially on the front, depending on how far back we push the building from the road. Because if you put it on the front, you gotta have more of the public parking up there.
And just my OCD, why would we want to do an angled building like that?
Why
Like
wouldn't you?
straight
Come
and
on.
angles, and oh my God.
Now, I think some of these design moves have yet to be tested in a 3D form, but
Okay.
what we really want to judge it by is from the view from Mass Ave as you're going by eastbound and westbound, so that you can really understand how it sits in the nature that it's in and what the orientation is to the street and the volume that you're looking at. Because as you all know from driving around town, there's very few buildings that are like perfectly flat in your face. Everything's kind of at different angles to the street, and it creates more interest in the volumes and the geometry of how the buildings go together. So it's important for us to look at it, see how it looks, see if it fits in. This is about the concept of talking about how it fits into the town, but the whole stuff we were talking about, the visioning, that's that piece of it. And it's not really difficult to build, but if we don't need to do it, we're not going to do it just to make a fun angle. It really wants to be something that looks right for the town. That's why I was saying earlier about maybe rotating the apparatus bay to Mass Ave, so you don't have this flat-on 2D approach. You have a little bit more seeing of the volume of the building as you drive by. So those design discussions have yet to really take place. We're kind of talking at this stage about getting the pieces in the right spot, the entrances in the right spot, and some of the major components locked in before we get more into that element.
You know, our current firehouse is flat against the
Yeah.
street. It's massive. The apparatus bay is right there. I've never heard anybody say, oh gee, that doesn't look very good because
Yeah.
it's too big and flat.
You're the
Yeah,
first
wait-
person
wait.
I've heard call it massive.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
Massive's been the stretch.
yeah, well, that's true.
Well, remember, this is a 5-bay, about 18, 19 feet to the eave, plus the gable roof height. So it's not going to be the same height as what you have currently. It's going to be a big, tall thing. So we are sensitive to that.
I like your comment about a 2-story building kind of helps hide the massiveness of the apparatus bay.
Yep.
But we want it to look good, but we want it to be functional. That's
Yes.
the most important thing.
I don't love this entrance in the back like that. I just, and it's right next to the bay, and I don't know, it feels hidden from this picture, but that's just my opinion. I like it on the side
Yep.
or in the front.
Yeah, and I wouldn't judge it necessarily, this particular one, by where the entrance is, because like I said, I think there's still things we can do with the plans to move things around. But I do agree that I would prefer to have the building entrance be somewhat visible from Mass Ave, or entirely visible from Mass Ave. And it's more from a health and safety perspective, so people that are trying to find it in an emergency know where the front door is, they don't have to search.
So I'll just judge it by the fact that this building is crooked, and when I drive by Mass Ave, I'm gonna be like, I cannot believe we did this building crooked, every time.
You'll love it.
I don't like, but anyway, go ahead.
First choice, right here, first choice.
Based on what we know about the site so far, we're not pushed to save space by adding a second floor because we can't spread out, right?
There's less, the site is not pressuring us into it, it's more, well, I shouldn't say that. Depending on which orientation we want for the building and where we want the driveways to hit, most of them aren't pushing us in a direction. If we're trying to line up the curb cut from the apparatus bay to Mass Ave, and we want the living quarters to be on the east side, like this one is showing, then we are constrained. But for most of them, we're not. The choice probably has more to do about operations and cost. And today, I can't tell you what the cost differences are because we don't yet have enough detailed information about how it's going to be designed. In fact, Chris talked to the estimator about that very question, and he was kind of wishy-washy about it because it really comes down to, well, how is the building being designed? Is it efficiently laid out on a one-story or a two-story? Is it, if it's inefficient, then it's going to drive the cost up. So they're pretty, I would say they're pretty close. So I don't think you have to worry about it too much from a cost perspective, but it's probably mostly from an operations perspective and how it fits, you know, how you get arranged on the site.
Are we gonna get to a point, we're going to get to the point where we have to decide, do we want 2 stories or 1 story? But are we gonna have a cost estimate for either of those schemes to actually make that decision at that point? Or are we going to have to go
Big
based off
picture,
of?
we'll have a big picture cost estimate.
Right. Okay,
It won't
we
be
are.
a detailed, full CSI version
Yeah.
cost estimate, but we will have rough costs for the different options we want you to actually select
Okay,
between.
I was thinking we were only gonna have like one concept that would get priced
No.
at that very high level.
No,
Because
we-
we're gonna do
and-
multiple.
Yeah, if we had things, schemes more developed and we're at where we are now, a week or 2 from now with a more developed set of options, they would have been at the cost estimate already, being looked at and having conversations with them. I did not feel that we were ready to have any of these priced in that manner because we're still looking at adjacencies
Still
and
too much
access
info.
and,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. Okay.
But I think,
I think in a
Any
week we'll
client-
be getting there.
and in this scenario, definitely qualifies, it's gonna be impossible for you to make decisions unless you know the relative cost differences for what you're dealing with. And I wouldn't ask you to make those decisions unless you had some cost information from us for the various options. So, I mean, if you definitely know today that there's things like, Rhea's saying like, I don't like that, get it off the list, we'll take that into account, of course. And I'd love for things to get narrowed down at this point, but I think without certain cost information, it's hard to really say, yes, let's go with this particular option.
Well, the other thing too, though, is we're only, and correct me if I'm wrong, but we're only gonna have the cost estimate for what it will be to build the building, because there's different maintenance costs for a 2-story building and operational costs for a 2-story building versus a single-story building.
Right, we
And
talk
we
about
won't
costs,
have those,
when we talk about
right?
costs, we're pretty much only talking about it from how much it costs to build the project.
Right,
Any long-term costs like energy and maintenance
yes.
is a whole different question.
Right,
And that is not this stage of the discussion. I mean, certainly there will be things like if you have an elevator, you've got to pay to maintain an elevator.
Right.
You don't have that cost.
Right.
That's pretty obvious. But,
Right.
but other things like, you know, energy systems, mechanical systems, and knowing how, you know, we'll have those conversations when we get into those pieces of the project before we choose the systems.
Yeah.
I have another question though. So we have the 1-story, 2-story question, but, so if we go out on Mass Ave, it seems to me from, you know, my very uneducated, like not understanding engineering, when I drive by, it seems like a really, like it's really high. So how do we, I mean, there's gotta be something where trucks can't go down a steep hill. Like, is there not? I mean, how do we, as we're looking at these buildings that are situated in a way.
You're talking
to
about the
on the
pitch of the
site.
roadway to
Yeah,
the, yeah.
the pitch of the driveway.
So that's what we do look at when we make a recommendation to join the apparatus drive to a road, is that we have to do the preliminary engineering to make sure that we're not exceeding the slope that would you know, cause a problem for a large piece of apparatus to be able to come out of the station,
Right.
get to the road and make the turn without bottoming out.
Now, what's sort of misleading is that there's a swale or sort of a little curb, a little hill between the property and Mass Ave. And it kind of goes up and then comes back down a little bit on the backside. So when you're driving down Mass Ave, it looks like it's going to be a lot more elevation than it actually is on the property side. That being said, usually we try to keep the percentage slope under 4%. You can go up to 5, maybe 6 for fire apparatus, but we're typically trying to keep it under 4.
So as we're looking at these designs, whether it's, so we're looking at 1-story, 2-story, but then will we have that information, because a lot of these designs are like designed around a curb cut down out to Mass Ave.
Yeah, and we've got a significant amount of length built into it, so we're not concerned that we would have a problem with that slope at this stage. It's early days slope, but there's a significant amount of.
In most of the buildings, still, the apparatus start at least 80 feet behind Mass Ave, which is an adequate space.
So we can actually drop quite a bit between the building first floor elevation and the street elevation.
John, do you have a quick question or comment? John, can you unmute yourself?
Oh, no, he put his hand down.
Oh.
Yeah, so it's related similar to the questions along the same lines of the questions Maria's asking. But I'm wondering, have you even done a very preliminary look at what those slopes would be? Because you're right, from Mass Ave, you see a very steep hill. And you're saying, okay, but further back, it goes down. So it would reduce the overall slope, but do you have a rough idea of what that even is? Because it wouldn't take much work, maybe a half an hour of an engineer's time to figure it out.
Yeah, we've looked at the plans and we have the survey and all that, so we're pretty comfortable that we can make it work. Nobody's spent, and penciled it out exactly to the percentage, because we actually don't really know exactly where the building's going to go and exactly what elevation the first floor might be. But with the grades we have on the site, there doesn't appear to be any concerns about us sloping down there.
Okay, so
within
you're in
all
the
the
4 to
tolerances we
6%
have.
range easily?
It's definitely within 6%. I'm confident it's within 4%.
Okay. And then the other question I had related to access and egress to the site. And this is more for the chief. If he's concerned with, if we only use Sarah's Way, are you concerned with only having one point of access and egress?
If you can answer that quickly.
Yeah, if we could only use Sarah's Way, are you saying if we could only use Sarah's Way one way,
Yeah.
having that one? Not entirely, no. I mean, there's always random oddball things that could potentially happen, but I just don't envision us being ever trapped, per se. I mean, it could happen anywhere. We could have two and we could lose a pole and have power lines across both entrances. It's just strange things happen, and no, I'm not overly concerned with only having the one entrance off Sarah's Way.
Okay, John, as long as you're not going to lose any sleep over it, neither am I.
I mean,
Thanks.
it's I'm a firefighter. I'm always looking for 2 ways in and 2 ways out. But I am not, it's not a deal breaker for me.
Okay, that's all I want to hear. Thanks, John.
Thank you, John.
Just want to run through the rest of these really quick. There's another version of that training room and a little bit different configuration. I won't go into it in any detail, but those are the various options we developed so far. Like Chris said, there's a couple more that we have in the boards that we're looking at, and we'll bring those to you as well. But we wanted to start the conversation with more of the detailed look at these options to see if there was anything that you've already even talked about tonight that were non-starters or things we should immediately just prioritize. I think we talked about visibility to the entrances and preferences for apparatus being able to more easily get onto Mass Ave, or at least Sarah's Way to Mass Ave.
I don't, and again, with this one, I don't love the parking and behind. I think it needs the entrance and the public parking needs to be a little more front and
visible,
center.
yeah.
I think on any of them, and I think on the other ones they were.
Yeah, and we are, the feedback we got from the visioning session as well did talk about, not having the building surrounded by a whole bunch of cars parking and having that landscape that fits better into the town's aesthetic. So we do have to mitigate or sort of coordinate, on the one hand, the vision and what's desirable here versus the needs of safety and managing access and that visual entrance point. So I think there's ways for both of them to coexist on here, particularly if the entrance is on the side, and so maybe some of the parking starts at the front, but it stretches around to the back so that there's enough parking everywhere, but you don't have to surround it in a parking lot. So those are the things we'll take away.
My priority, I think, is trying to get directly out onto 111, but given the cost and DOT issues, but I think that we should strive for that.
Yeah, so we definitely want to have options that exist in each of those 3 buckets that I mentioned in terms of access, so that we can then present, I guess, in a few weeks or more, and try to start honing in on which direction we want to go into, even if it's just determining where we want the access point to be. But we'd have some cost information to share, and then the list of pros and cons for each one of those scenarios.
Does direct access to 111 dictate at all 1-story versus 2-story? No.
No, not really.
No, if the, as Jeff talked earlier, if the residential quarters and admin offices are on the east side, and we have direct access to 111, the apparatus does slide a little further to the west, which is encroaching upon the road because of deep.
For instance, if our priority is, let's just say, kind of taking this site plan as an example, to have a little bit of parking and an entry that faces Sarah's Way or the corner of Sarah's Way and Mass Ave, you can see how it starts to push the building further to the west, which makes the entrance point for the apron further away from 975. So we lose some of that synergy, but we're gaining some things we want to have for the project. And some of these other options tuck the entry behind the building. If we're putting the administration on the west side, we're tucking it behind, which is less desirable as well. So we'll be working on options to try to keep the entry more visible, but also manage some of these other components.
Alan?
No, we were looking at the other site on Stowe Road. It was never going to directly access 111, and it was a 4-way intersection, and everybody and the chief was fine with it, and we didn't even need traffic control. And when I look at this scheme and the idea of making a 4-bay wide driveway down onto 111, it just seems like all you're going to see is pavement and a lot of rainwater to deal with and snow melt. And I just wonder, we're going to improve the lower end of Sarah's Way anyway, I assume, and it's going to be wide enough to accommodate the largest apparatus or even a future aerial ladder to be able to turn. I'm not really concerned that we need to have direct access to 111. It's just how I feel about it. I think it's going to be a big cost.
Any other general comments to?
Is there an indication we would need, that we would need a traffic light coming out of Sarah's Way?
I think so far, like Mike pointed out, we don't have any indications one way or the other from DOT itself because we haven't engaged them. But the engineers that we have, the civil engineers who worked with DOT that did the earlier traffic studies, did not indicate a signal was warranted based upon the site distance and some of the early preliminary information. So until we know more from DOT, we don't actually know what they're going to require. That being said, if they did require a signal, it probably would be the same whether it was Sarah's Way or direct onto Mass Ave.
I have to say, I like the access onto 111, but I am curious what the cost of it would be, to understand if it's worthwhile. That's a good point about a potential aerial ladder truck and designing to that if we had to redesign Sarah's Way anyway, like the turning radius onto either side of it. I prefer option 1C. I would love to see if it was possible to like turn it though, so that the firehouse portion is there first instead of the at bay, but
Flip it left to right.
yeah, if that's possible, but that would be, I understand the implications of it as well, so.
But you didn't love this one.
I
feel
didn't-
like for some reason you said
Because I
you had
didn't like it
concerns.
because of the admin and entryway being on the west side.
Okay.
Had it been on the other side,
Yeah, if
it
we
were
could-
flipped.
Yeah,
Which it-
kind of flip it.
But if
Right.
you want to go back to like option, the other option.
This
the
one here,
Earlier
which
one.
is a 2-story.
Yeah, no,
It
go
is
back
on
to
the
the single
west.
story, like option 1.
Yeah, but those, none of those went on to.
Oh, the option 1A.
Oh, I see,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
well,
these all have it sort of tucked back, but if you go to the, sorry, it's hard. I'm gonna make everybody online dizzy, but if you go back to the end here, we've got
That
these
one or
couple
that one.
options that
yeah,
are putting the administrative and living quarters on the east side and shifting the apparatus bay a little bit further, but you could basically take the one you were liking, Sarah,
Yeah,
and turn it into this sort of site plan by flipping it all. I would just put, because it takes up more room than a 2-story building.
Right,
Because it's 1
right,
story.
that's why I
It'll
was
push
like-
the apparatus bay a little further to the west.
yeah, I don't know if it's actually possible.
The
to
challenge
do
we
it
have,
that way.
again, pushing it to the west is Mass Ave starts to then
Yeah.
dip there,
Exactly,
and we're worried about
exactly.
site distance and the fire apparatus being able to see people coming eastbound
Yep.
up and over that hill. So we don't want to go too far that way.
I knew exactly that when I was asking for it, but like, there's your challenge right there.
Excellent.
Is it possible?
But the apparatus bay being on the east side solves 2 things. It's less of a grade, it's probably
Yes.
easier, cheaper, and it's closer to 572 or what,
Yes.
475, whatever it is.
975.
Across the street, which would be advantageous to DOT,
Yes.
so.
but that was also the one we were concerned with people pulling into the apparatus bays and parking and not really,
Exactly.
right?
Yeah.
That's the
That
problem
was
with,
the issue
with
with
the,
that.
with.
Yeah,
the,
and
you know.
like I said, we need to work on them a little bit more, and there might be a way for us to manage some of the site traffic flows and the entranceways to discourage people going in there. I mean, you can't control what people are gonna do.
Right.
Yeah.
That's bare minimum, but if we can design the site in a way that indicates more of where the entry is, maybe that helps
Yeah.
traffic flow.
Signage is not gonna help when somebody's in an emergency, they're
No,
just gonna
no,
go.
no.
I mean,
Exactly.
those large apparatus bay doors are very much a signal for people, and it's easy to drive straight for that. So if you make the entry a bigger signal, it starts to help. But
Do
yeah.
people park in front of your apparatus bay now?
Oh, yes.
They do?
Yeah.
When they come in, yes, in an emergency, 100%. Even with the front door right next to it and the parking spots visible, they'll pull right in front of the engine if they're having a medical emergency like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
That's
Yeah.
already.
So there you go. Did you get like any directions?
No,
Going
it's
in, like,
great
all different
feedback.
directions?
Now, if you had all spoken with one voice and said option one, whatever, we would have been shocked. But, so I'm glad to have the feedback, even if it's all over the map.
Yeah,
And
we're-
that's the stage we're in.
Yeah.
You know, we're trying to figure out our way, so.
Can you go back to 1B for a minute? Is that all right?
Of course.
So way to angle it.
Can we not angle? Like, really?
You want to turn that at an
Can
angle?
we
Is that what you're
angle,
saying?
way to angle it from our end.
And then just maybe put an S in it or something?
I guess I like the idea that the apparatus doesn't open directly toward 111, and then the back of the apparatus bay is completely facing the back of the site. That's kind of why I like this one, I think. I like the apparatus bay closer to 111 and easy access, in my mind, in and out of that apparatus bay. The admin is to the back of the site, public parking is to the back of the site, and it's single story.
But the apparatus coming out of the back of that and having to make a turn and then go
Yeah.
out, that's a
But
little,
what I like about that is that they don't have to make the, to come out of the back and they don't have to make the turn through the public parking.
Right.
Which is nice about that, right?
And that was,
But I agree with you, it's a big turn and it is a little bit different, but I'd rather, you know, once the engineering's done, because I think I asked her in one of the working groups about turning radiuses, and again, it's not engineered to show that, but again, I'd rather deal with the turn a little bit sharper than deal with the turn through where the public may be parking and where people may be coming in and out of the building.
yeah.
and that was a real big concern for us when we were looking at other properties.
Yeah.
Making sure that there was separate, and we're just, yes, there'll be Sarah's Way, but that's different than the trucks turning into parking lots to get out and in an emergency.
With
So
this
this
scheme,
does
you-
avoid that.
With this scheme, you could also, out of the back of the apparatus bay, still access 111 directly if you wanted to. You could have two ways out of the apparatus bay,
But then
one
you're
directly
dealing with-
onto 111 and one to Sarah's Way.
And you're dealing with two, having to fix Sarah's Way and the curb
That's
cut.
going to be anywhere, right? Like most
It
of
will
the
be
designs.
if we have a cut on Mass Ave and then we'll do both.
Both,
But
yeah,
if we only have Sarah's Way,
yeah, but that's
then we
what
won't.
Alan's saying, you can still cut, like,
Direct.
just like the other ones that every,
But I
You
think
have
there'll be a
options.
difference.
We have options.
yeah.
Yeah, this one gives us options, and you can have a cut, or you don't have to have one.
Yeah,
And certainly, if you did, it would probably be more so for the secondary response, which, given its perpendicular nature to the street, the curb cut would be more of a 30-foot drive rather than a 80, 90-foot wide
Right.
apron.
Right, it's wide at the top, but it funnels
Right,
down to
right.
the minimum width you can get away with onto 111, right? If you had a second out of this one as an example. It would be as wide as the access on the Stairs Way,
Pretty much.
Yes.
yeah.
rather than, what would it be, 80 feet wide, 60 feet wide?
Well, the width of the bays right now are probably somewhere around
More like a
90-something
yeah.
feet.
yeah.
Huge.
So that is a huge.
Plus, it's a huge amount of
entrance, yeah.
pavement.
It is.
It's a
yeah.
big cost.
It's a big element in any of the designs. And we'd still have, I mean, don't get me wrong, we'd still have quite a large pavement
Oh,
onto
yeah,
Sarah's
but
Way,
the-
you just wouldn't see it as much from Mass Ave.
We dye it green.
So I think I'm also hearing that everyone seems to like the one story.
Yeah.
If ideally, if we could do
Yeah.
that.
What do we have to do to push a decision tree, one-story, two-story, Matt?
I think
I would think you would want to,
cost it out.
I'm just
a little
saying,
bit.
but I would assume you'd want to know cost.
I
Yes.
think, yeah.
That it's least, it is at least, I can't say it. I've run out of words today, but it's no more costly than a two-story. It's preferably less costly, but it's no more costly than a two-story. I would assume that's what you'd want to hear.
Yeah.
I would
to
think
pick
that
that.
we would want that, we want community input from Viper's Day, and then we'd want Mary and Mike here also.
Yeah, the whole committee
Before
make
we,
a
like-
decision, yeah. And input from the chief. I mean, if the chief is more comfortable,
I'd hate to see you cost something out and present it that, you know, at the end of the day, I'm looking at it and I think it's not functional at all.
right, so it needs to be
Right.
functional from your
Yeah.
perspective.
Yeah.
And you seem to like the one story.
A one story anyway, right? You like the one story.
Yes.
Is there any one of these schemes that you would absolutely hope that we not choose?
They're not finalized. They're still changeable as far as I'm concerned. So until we get closer to things being final, I'll wait till then. Because right now, I still think that there's still a lot of listening going on and still a lot of things being changed and moved to to make it work, so I want to let that continue.
He hates the angled one.
When you design the one-story
You're just looking for a
building,
partner.
do you give any thought to the possibility 30 years from now, they might want to add more space over the first floor?
We certainly can, and we have definitely before. It usually comes more from the town to us asking for it as a feature, because there's a little bit of upfront cost to pay for a beefier structure. But the biggest drawback in doing that is that we can't predict what the structural codes will be by the time you go around and do a second floor, and that we might beef it up with the intention of doing it. Let's say 15 years from now, you decide, and then somebody says, well, that's what they thought it would be, but you actually need bigger structure, and you have to blast through the first floor again to put in new foundations for whatever, and it gets too costly. So, yes, with a caveat.
But even with like the single-story structure, I still see like land available around it that if
Yes.
we had to add.
And that's more typical,
More
is that if you
more
wanted to
rooms or
make it
something.
more space, you'd usually try to find it on a single story if you can.
Yeah.
But we have designed stations where the second story, let's call it the attic, which normally could be built with economical trusses, but not usable. The truss fills up the whole space. We could design it with, we'll call it stick framed, so that it's now this triangular space. It's a big volume and you can use it, but we don't actually program it. We don't put anything up there, but we make the stair or an elevator shaft that could potentially use it in the future. And we've designed it structurally for that loading capacity so that it's like pre-built space you can move into in the future. But that comes with a bigger premium up front to do that. We did a police station just like that, and they, during construction, they've already had plans to put storage up there and do other things to it. So it's a popular idea, but they paid the up front for that.
Yeah, we're looking to cut costs.
Yeah, can I just, to the adding on point of it, with what we've done with looking at the living area and the dormitories and making the dormitories so that in the event that they weren't sufficient and they had to be doubled up, that they'd meet a code. If we're really, with all of that already being done, and if we're gonna worry about adding on, at that point, you'd actually be worried about whether you need a second station.
I was gonna say substation.
Like
Right?
a satellite.
Yeah, exactly,
Like-
right?
yeah,
Because
yeah.
this is really done that it's planning right now for the next 30, right? With the number that we've already put in, and then making those ones, the potential to have to be doubled up, takes it out how many more years past 30 potentially. If there's a need for an addition, there's probably a need for a second station. Yes.
And I totally, I think that's right on. I think my feedback was more about making sure we don't box you in so that 30 years from now, some different fire chief, some different architect, different committee decides, oh, we definitely need an extra bay or whatever. You're not in a position where you can't do something like that because we made a stupid decision during this phase. So we want to make sure we give you flexibility no matter what happens, but nobody's predicting it to happen.
In this particular design, just to follow up on that thought, is it far enough away from 111 so potentially you could add another bay?
This one could,
Yeah.
sure, absolutely. And you that purple line, it's hard to see, but the purple line there is the setback, so you could add on up until that purple line.
Yeah.
And it would be a little bit about then what do you
Then
do
the
with the
road
driveway,
is fast.
move the driveway a bit further out.
So,
Yeah, I was gonna say, if there is a thought of planning it, the building location, so you could add on, is probably best to make that move while when you lay out the building, so that you don't have any issues, with the driveway or with the building face at the property line.
so with respect to 1 floor, 2 floor, I would be letting down the finance committee if I didn't say part of our concern is ongoing maintenance. So, so what's the cost now for a 2 floor versus a 1 floor? It's the same, but now we have an elevator shaft we have to maintain. And is there other maintenance, and is it harder to maintain, you know, the gutters and everything else, because it's two-story, and so that's kind of all the stuff that, that when you heard, the question, the answer that John Connor gave, cost-effective, that's what FinCom's looking at, cost-effective in building, but then what's it look like for us to maintain?
Sure,
So,
yep, absolutely,
that's
great
really
question. The
important for
elevator is
us.
your biggest, gonna be your biggest concern when
Yeah.
it comes to a two-story building, but access to gutters and access to the roof becomes more problematic. It's just the same amount of cleaning has to happen, it's just harder to get to.
Painting, you get 2 stories to paint, not one, you know, depending on the materials we use, so it's just something to think about, that I would say is a concern for FinCom looking forward. It should be a concern for everybody, right?
yeah,
Because
absolutely.
it's the whole town's paying for it.
The maintenance, like, the maintenance is a huge concern for me as well. Depending on the materials, like you said, it's, we're not gonna be able to keep up with a lot of it because of the different things that we're doing. So we really wanna make sure that it is as, you know, maintenance-free as it can possibly be, so that we're not, you know, having to go out and fix shingles on the side of the building every year, or having to go out and paint or do the things that need to get done. So-
Well, every time the library comes forward with a warrant article to paint, which they've done, I think, twice since they've built, maybe 3 times, the first thing someone says, they get up and they're like, building's brand new. Building's 20 years old or 25 years old, but the first thing is, the building's brand new, why do you need a roof? Why do you need this? Why do you need that? So anything we can do to make it as maintenance-free is the way we want to go. But
Okay.
Very good, thank you all.
Thank you very much. That's a lot of information, and I hope we didn't confuse you too much.
No, we're not confused, hope everybody else is not confused.
Actually, I think you should feel like you probably can do most anything because of all the different ideas that we've had. So, anyway, thank you very much. That's great information. So, public outreach. One of the things we have to talk about is who's available at Pfeiffer's Day, and make sure that we can man the tent.
So can I just put one thing before we do that? We're finalized on the July 23rd date for the next session, right?
Right.
It's going to be here, similar to what we did before. Okay, 'cause
Yes,
on Pfeiffer's
similar.
Day, we want to make
We'll
sure we
have a
have a flyer
different
for that.
program to do, but
Yeah.
it'll be a similar type of extra.
Okay. So-
Everybody meets here, we'll have a discussion.
Yep, all right. Because that's important, because we need to advertise that on Pfeiffer's Day.
Right.
So I actually think a flyer and maybe even like a
A poster. or
poster
something.
hanging up on the thing. So we'll have to figure out how to do that. Okay.
All right, Sarah, can you organize us?
Yeah, so, 7:30 a.m.-ish for drop-off of stuff. 10:30 to set up tables, and then manning the tables from noon to 5. It's the same sign-up that we had last year. I can send it around if you want to call out times you want to be there, we can do that too, but I can email it around.
You're dropping off the tent, right? We're using your tent,
Yes.
right? And then just tables.
And you're going to have a tent beside
Are
us?
you having a tent as well, or no?
I'm not, no, we'll have tents, we're gonna have tents down there for, our purposes. We're gonna set up a medical tent and just things for my staff that are gonna be hanging around down there, but,
Is it going
No.
to
As
be
far as
near
the
us?
no,
Oh.
no.
It's not usually.
We'll be off, just doing our
So-
thing, just in case anyone needs anything, Band-Aids, ice packs,
No.
whatever you have to.
The
We
tent,
both are gonna be next to each other,
We're gonna-
Context
yes.
and the fire station building. I already spoke with Ron. Logan.
wait.
They're gonna have a tent.
We don't have a tent, we were gonna
No.
be
They're
together.
gonna be in our
you
tent.
guys.
Oh, you guys are gonna be in our tent?
Yeah.
I thought
Yeah,
like-
because
So-
why are we having a tent without them?
So, that being the case, that we'll have the bigger tent, I'll put the 10 by,
Then it
we'll
should
put
be
the
a
10
bigger
by
one, because-
15 for.
10 by 15.
Yeah, the 10 by 15 for
Great.
all of us, and then the 10 by 10 will be used. so-
Can we let the Minutemen know that? Does it matter? Like, do they
It
don't
should
put
be.
you that close together, right?
No, I already said, like, if they're
Oh,
gonna
2
be
spots,
there,
okay.
2 spots, that
Okay.
we'll be next to each other. So if we are gonna decide to have a bigger tent, we can just combine that. I
So
don't
we'll
think
do the
it'll be a
10 by
problem.
15
That's
tent.
already, approved.
And then, how many tables, will you bring tables to?
If
Or
you,
be-
we can have tables, you just tell me how many tables
How
you need.
many
and we
tables
can
do
get
we
tables.
need?
We had 2 last year. Want to do 2? 3?
3.
7?
3, because, 7? Because you guys are gonna have
You need
stuff.
three.
Right.
Yeah.
We'll have the easels that we brought
Oh, the
for
easels.
the boards. We'll have the board set up. And I don't think we'll necessarily need a table ourselves,
Okay.
but
So maybe we
probably
just
would be useful.
bring 3 just in case, chief, we set up
Yeah.
2. if we need
And-
to.
Can we put the tables at an angle?
I'm not gonna be there, so you can actually, because I can't be at Piper's Day this year.
So Sarah offered 2 things. She could send something around that we can sign up, or we could do it right now. What do you prefer?
I'm there the whole day.
All right, looks like we're all off the hook.
So Mary's not gonna be there and I'm not gonna be
You're
there.
not gonna be there
Yeah, we
either,
both
okay.
have, I'm so sad, 2nd year in a row.
And I can be there anytime.
Alan,
Except-
I can kind of be there anytime, I do have to spend some time in the Burke booth, though.
Yeah.
And I have
And I
to,
don't know where the Burke booth is in relation to this one, do you, Chief?
I'm not sure. No, I
Wouldn't
haven't
it
seen
make
them.
sense to put them kind
I
of
was
together?
gonna say,
I
wouldn't it be
haven't
nice
seen,
just to have it next to you?
Wouldn't it be nice if they were together?
Well, if anyone knows the people and can talk to them and influence tent locations, maybe we
We
could have
can-
something like
yeah,
that. Yeah.
I'll talk.
It would make it easier for me
Talk to
because we have to, I
Ron.
also
Yeah.
have to coordinate helping getting the Burke equipment down there as well. So it'd be nice to just
Yeah.
be able to put it all in one spot and pick it up from one spot after. So
You're the one who's always been in
logistically,
charge of
it'd
the
be great
tent.
for me.
So you talk to them and you make it fine, so you're very good at that.
It sounds like we will be covered with people.
Okay.
I'll send something out and you just tell me when you want to be there.
I have to be, I'm driving my Chevelle in the parade, so I have to be
Okay,
gone
so
from
maybe the
like
later one.
10:15 to 12, I guess is.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
think from 12 to the end of the day, I can be there. The only issue is like, I'll be at the parade too.
You'll be marching.
That's
marching in
fine.
the parade,
So,
yeah.
I'll be driving in it, so.
Emily has her hand up. I assume this is Emily? So she should be able to.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Okay, Emily?
I just had a question on the children's activities. So if we were going to do some sort of coloring or kind of activity like that, would
Yeah.
we need a table for them?
I can bring it. I've got a kid.
Okay.
I think I still have it. Actually, I
Kids
should
table.
check. But I have kids table.
So you know what, if you don't, I actually have a 4-foot table that has different heights.
Okay.
That's,
Oh, nice.
you know what I mean? So you can put it on the lowest height, it becomes a kid's table. So I will mark
And
that
Chief, you
down.
have the hat and like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
wristbands.
We have the hats and the different
pens.
things.
And we
yes.
have,
I've got crayons and the fire toys.
do we have the stamps?
The fire truck.
Last year, you, yeah.
I got
we
the
provided-
stamps. I have all
You
the
have the stamps,
I'll bring
okay.
them.
So Emily, we have a lot of stuff that we've been using
Okay.
from, do we have, we have coloring sheets and everything?
Yeah,
right?
So I was
Yeah,
gonna
so
say,
I think
we have the
can-
sheets from one of the info sessions
Yeah,
at the
so
library.
we can just do
Yeah,
activities, they don't,
I have
Emily doesn't have
I'll
to
make
worry about
copies of
that.
it.
Okay.
So you have the
Right?
stamps?
So I don't think you have to worry about kids'
I don't
activities.
have the stamps.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah, okay.
Yeah, because we have all the stuff we've been using for
Who's
the last 2
bringing the
years.
candy?
Just candy.
We want
Yeah,
candy,
Emily.
Emily, bring plenty.
And,
Let
like-
the
I mean,
kids-
Chris was gonna paint faces, but, you know.
And not chocolate candy, the kids just like the sugar stuff, the chocolate melts.
I was gonna say, it was so
Chocolate,
hard.
chocolate.
Starburst, Sour Patch, lollipops, that's
Um,
generally what the kids like.
The biggest
Okay.
thing is stamps, because they want to get like
I
all
have
the
Yeah.
I've
booths.
got the stamps still.
That's
Oh.
the
I'll
big
bring
one.
them.
The Dalmatian was definitely the hit last year. Dalmatian stamp.
Stamp.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it was so hot last year, so definitely
gonna be 80,
it's gonna be beautiful. Bring your water bottle and a small cooler if you
We're gonna
can,
knock
just
on
stay
wood now.
hydrated.
And folding chairs if you want to sit.
Chairs.
Like a camp chair.
Yeah.
Yeah, camp chairs, okay. You'll let me know about the table.
Okay.
So you're
and
gonna send the schedule out.
flyers. Are you gonna make the flyers?
I'm sure that flyers are probably already made, so we'll
Yeah,
take care of it,
yeah.
yeah.
For what? 23rd of July or for Piper's Day?
For 23rd of July.
Yeah.
That would make, I mean, I've already put a Piper's Day one on.
I was also thinking as we were talking here, I know you're gonna be asking for input, but I think it would also be useful for us to have some kind of like timeline of what's coming up besides just the July 23rd input session, so people could see like the progress and how we're gonna hit.
Yeah, so what you guys had given in the context, like when we did the interviews,
Yeah.
you brought that, right?
Yep.
I've already made a PDF of that and I've already sent to some people.
Okay.
This is how
Right, but does that have
We
like
get
the
that.
listening sessions in it and stuff?
No, those it doesn't have.
Okay, so
But
we-
like, we
that's-
still have to, like, I don't know if we can still kind of use that type of guideline, I don't know.
Okay, do you want us to make
It
that?
does,
a
it does
board?
have the community session on July 23rd on it.
No, I
Oh.
think she's talking about the interview.
The interview one that you guys.
Oh,
That
no,
created,
no,
like,
no,
the
I-
big-
yeah,
The graphic
yeah,
one.
the graphic
Yeah, the
one.
picture.
So,
one.
did
We
you
can-
want that as a board or a handout, or?
A board?
Board.
Board, yeah.
Yeah.
That'd be great, so you'll take care of that.
We'll take care of it.
Yeah,
you.
with, like, inserted all the listening sessions.
The
that we're
dates,
gonna be
now the
doing.
dates
Yeah.
that we have.
Yeah.
Plus, there's one in the fall that we haven't put a date on, but we'll just list it as TBD for
Yeah,
now.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yep, that's what we have it on the flyers too.
Our
So-
signs are still on the garden club boards. Do we want to change the Velcro piece to say that we're going to be at Pfeiffer's Day that day? Do we want to?
Yeah, I could change it to say at Piper's Day. I
Yeah.
mean, sure.
So I'll just leave them up and then when
Look
those
at
are-
what day it is.
Yeah, I'll leave
The
them up and when they're
11th.
done.
It's gonna be
I'll
pretty
switch
quick.
them.
9 days.
And then Mike, if we can, come up with, sheets for them to like put their name, their email address or contact information so that, you know how last time we added and we now send out emails
Sure.
anytime we make changes to the agenda or like when the
Yep.
agenda item comes up.
Yeah,
So
we've
we
got that
can-
template.
Yeah,
Yep.
we can get that.
So should I bring some water in a ice chest or something? Would that be helpful?
Yep. That'll help,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. All right, we
Okay.
ready to move on here? We have
Yeah.
two sets of minutes to approve. The minutes of April 15th. Are there any suggestions?
I see green.
Got a few things. Most of them are ridiculous. First of all, we're not a commission, we're a committee. Those two things are not interchangeable, they have completely different definitions. So the word commission
Oh,
needs
yeah.
to be
Well-
replaced by the word committee wherever it occurs, and I think
Well-
it's
That's a little bizarre.
12 times.
I wondered though, are we a commission when we hire an
No,
architect? We're
No.
not?
no, we're a committee. That's bizarre.
Isn't there,
Yeah.
isn't there something in that language about a commission? It goes from, if you can't agree on a price with the first one, the commission goes to the second one. I thought,
I've
No?
never heard that.
Because then later on it says committee.
okay,
in the notes.
so,
A commission is a self-governing thing to make rules and regulations. A committee is appointed by a body that does make rules and regulations.
okay.
The other thing that needs to be replaced, just out of respect, the word Sarah's Way, Sarah always has an apostrophe in it in this case. It was made clear to me when I interviewed the owner of that property. The only serious thing is the second page, the third paragraph down. I remember Mary saying clearly, one of the things that swayed her away from Tectron is that they did not have a detailed schedule and they didn't commit to a schedule. And that's not mentioned here. So I think maybe the last sentence should say, it was noted that no detailed schedule was provided.
Mike, do you take care of this, or?
I do.
Yes,
I'm
okay,
taking
thank
these
you.
notes.
Anything else, Alan?
No, that's it, sir.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the minutes of April 15th?
So moved.
As amended.
As amended.
As
right?
amended.
Yes, as amended.
Somebody needs a second.
Oh, second.
Oh. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained? Guess not. Okay. Then we have the minutes. Minutes of May 28th.
And a few things. Under section 3, about the middle of that paragraph, where it says the month, following the month, those reviews will be done initially by Vertex. I don't know what that's supposed to be.
see.
Maybe
Are you in
those
the-
reviews will be done initially by
You
Vertex.
you in the first big paragraph under 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, under the item 3, Mike,
Yep.
just about halfway down that top paragraph.
1, 2, 3, 4, on the 5th line that starts the month period.
Okay.
Those reviews will be done initially by Vertex. I think the word "by" doesn't belong there.
Okay.
And then it also refers to our town administrator as a town manager. And I think his title is town administrator, if I'm not mistaken, Mike?
That's correct.
He's not going to edit that, he's going to leave that.
And then the third line from the bottom there says will be included in the invoice package, includes all other invoices. Something's not quite worded correctly there.
Anything else? Did you get that, Mike?
I didn't get the last one exactly where you are.
Say
I'm
that
sorry?
again,
It's in
please,
that
Alan.
same paragraph, Mike.
Yep. Is the last sentence?
2 lines above.
3 lines from
Okay.
item B. Right in the center, it says invoice package includes all other invoices.
So do you see the sentence? It
No.
starts with 3 lines up in section 3. It starts with the word information will be included in the invoice package, includes all other invoices for Vertex.
Maybe that's
Just-
supposed to be package that.
It just
Last
needs to
line.
be.
Okay,
wordsmithed.
patch, is that, you want the word that in
I
there?
think so.
I got it. Thanks.
And then at the very bottom of that page, it says the advantage of being on one level is that there are no stairs or elevator, I think needs to be in there.
Well, the
Where's
question
the
is,
advantage of being on
was, did someone say that at the time? Or I
Well,
think you're
It's
right.
not quoting anybody. It's reciting what we said.
So you think someone said that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's,
We've been saying it,
Yeah.
so
yes.
it's good to assume that.
Before you turn the page, same comment about the Sarah apostrophe S.
Oh, yeah.
In that paragraph as well.
Got it.
I had one thing too, on page
You're
3.
rubbing off, Alan.
Page 3 in the second paragraph that starts with Mr. Reed.
Yes.
Says stated that he believed the space was supposed to be 21,000 feet, but 20,000 feet seems to be mentioned. And I think it was the other way around, that I thought we were talking about, we were looking at 20,000 feet, but it mentioned,
Yeah.
it mentioned 21,000 feet. Does that sound reasonable? To switch those? Do you see where that is, Mike?
I do see it. I don't know which is true, though.
I mean, I don't think I would have said it was supposed to be 21,000 feet, because I was hoping that it's going to be 20,000 or less.
Go to the
But
reply.
I would switch those two numbers if people agree to that.
Well, then if you
How
read
about
the
if I-
next sentence, Mr. Logan stated the contract is for 20,800 square feet, but 20,000 is being used as a benchmark, so it makes sense. What you're saying
Yeah.
makes sense, right?
I think so.
Yeah, to switch those two, based on what the rest of the conversation looked like.
Got it.
All right, with the amendments that we have made, we have a
No, we
motion
have
to
more.
accept the
No, no.
meeting minutes of May 20. Oh, sorry, Alan.
What?
Do you have more?
Oh, just Sarah's Way needs to have the apostrophe in it wherever it occurs.
Yes.
And then I had, there's a sentence here, and maybe it's right
What-
based
what
on what I
page you
heard
on, Alan?
earlier tonight.
What
It's,
page?
The top of page 3,
Okay.
the first paragraph, the third line from the bottom, talks about our program is currently designed for growth for the next 30 years. And is that what we all agree to? It's a 30-year plan? Okay. And then the next line says, and a portion of the single-story building are being designed to allow for a second floor to be built in the future.
So change that to
Well, we
is.
haven't picked first or second floor.
Yeah, we didn't. I thought
But we
this was
might
the
get
first
back-
time we actually discussed that was tonight. Am I wrong?
No, it's here in the minutes.
I know, but we didn't talk about it.
No, that's what I'm
This is the first
saying.
time I
Did
thought
we?
had talked
And should it say are being designed, it should say could be designed, not are being designed, right? We haven't given you direction. It should say could be designed to allow for a second floor, but there's no
Right.
commitment to actually do a single-story building or to have it have a second floor design. That's everything I had, Matt.
Okay, thank you, Alan. We do appreciate that you do read it carefully, seriously, even though I poke a little fun
If we
once in a
don't do
while.
it, you know what's gonna happen 20 years from now, right? It'll be like the time we had to go through the zoning, because words were loud.
It's
I'm
true.
not worried about anything 20 years from now.
Steve has his hand
You'll be
up.
retired, but with us.
Steve Kirby has his hand
Oh,
up.
sorry.
No, it's fine.
Steve,
Steve?
he can unmute himself. He is.
Yeah, I was going back to what Alan had touched base with up on the first page, that first paragraph for under new business, where I was explaining the invoicing.
Yeah.
And I think the first one you said, those reviews will be done initially by Vertex, so there's one that first buy you're going to get rid of, right, Mike? Do you have that crossed out?
I do. That's correct.
Okay, then the last sentence in that first paragraph says the sub-consultant invoices are included in context invoice and are not reviewed by Vertex. I think it should probably say the sub-consultant invoices are incorporated into context invoices, so it doesn't sound like that they're an attachment, which is what the conversation was.
That makes sense.
Incorporated.
Change the
And
word
then
included to
Those are
incorporate.
managed by context and
We didn't see
included in their phases for
Doesn't
design.
make sense.
Did we make a motion on this?
No, we haven't yet.
Got it.
You all
Thank you.
set, Mike?
Yep, I am.
That's it, thanks.
All right.
Hold on a second. Because I'm rereading that sentence and are not reviewed by Vertex, that refers back to the sub-consultant's invoices, right?
Right.
Okay, all right. Yeah, never mind then, that's
And we
fine.
just, those are the minutes we already approved, right?
No.
No, this
No.
one?
Yeah, but
I'm
this-
getting
this is the
confused.
second
Okay,
set.
all right,
Sorry, I just
sorry.
wanted to make sure that was clear, that,
Okay, this is the May 28th one.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
good.
Thank you.
Are we good?
Yeah.
All right, can I hear a
So
motion
move
to,
approve the minutes of May 28th as amendment.
as amended?
As amended.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Alan. Okay, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? No? Any abstentions? No. Okay. Is there anybody in the universe who would
In
like
the
to speak?
universe. I do not see any hands up for anyone who'd like to speak.
Okay.
Becky? No? No one in the room.
Is there anything that, Jeff, for you, or
Good.
Chris?
Thank
We all set? All right, I could hear a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no? Abstentions? Okay, thank you. After a rocky start here, we
You got it.
finally got it.
Thanks, guys, for your time tonight.
Yes, yeah, Jeff and Chris did an excellent job.
See you guys